So you want to buy a house in Italy, eh? Well, lucky for you, I've done it 3 times and I'm here to talk all about my experience as a Canadian expat living in Italy. Welcome to the Modern Hippie Project. I'm Amber Roy, and today I wanted to do a bit of a deep dive on my experience in Italy as a real estate investor. After my last video, I had a number of people reach out inquiring about how the process works, asking a ton of questions about Italian real estate and what they could expect if they bought their dream house in Italy, because who doesn't dream of living in Italy? I figured I would follow up with a video that did just that, is give you some, or share with you rather, some experiences that I've had while purchasing and selling real estate in Italy. So we'll start by saying all of my advice is based on the fact that I live in southern Italy, and southern and northern Italy are 2 different worlds. So take that with a grain of salt. Some of this may apply to northern Italy. Things like government grants and programs that I'll be talking about are usually federal. However, some of the cultural or social elements of real estate might only be applicable to southern Italy. So let's start with do your due diligence and trust nobody. Moving to Italy from Canada, I'm so lucky I found Stefano because I was a really naive and trusting Canadian girl who gave everyone the benefit of the doubt. And that is very unsafe in southern Italy, where people are looking for ways to potentially expose people like that and profit off of them. So there are scams out there, and Italians are smart, I'm telling you. They find ways to scam people. So, I mean, be cautious. I wouldn't give people the benefit of the doubt anymore, knowing what I know now. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to consult with others, and just take a minute to think things through. If you have family or friends in Italy, lean on them a little bit. Reach out to them and ask them what they think, if this is normal, or if this is seemingly a little bit sketchy. Italians kind of have a good sense for that kind of thing, a 5th sense, if you will. So that is my first bit of advice. When it comes to pricing, it's a little all over the place, and it's not typically the same formula you would use in the North American real estate market. There are other factors that you need to consider, like sentimental value. Personally, I can share an experience. We looked at a really, really beautiful property in a smaller village nearby, and it was a very old castle which belonged to noble people in this village. Now, the property was quite overpriced, and so we met with this doctor. It was a private sale. We met with this doctor personally, and when we told him all of the things that we would have to do in order to fix up the property, which was quite neglected and quite old and outdated, he took extreme offense and said that we were trying to cast a bad name on his family. So we humbly walked away from that deal. Despite loving the property, that was a clash, a personality clash, unfortunately, and that man in particular was placing a lot of sentimental and family value on the property. Other things that you need to consider when looking at prices in Italy are the access to government programs and grants. So there are a number of different programs, but a few of the most popular are the eco bonus, or they call it 110%, which means 110%, and as well as agriturismo bonuses for people who have olive groves or nut groves or animals. They also qualify for particular government grants. So if a property is eligible for any of these programs, that may also increase the value. Another pricing factor is obviously location. whether or not there's parking. Historical value is something that you may not be used to living in North America or a newer established country. There's a lot of historical value in Italy as well. So if someone famous once lived in your home, or for example, we live in a house of a famous painter in Italy. His name is Francesco Guarini. It was one of the first houses in our village. So just based on that fact alone, we could see a little bit more value from selling our home. So now that you know how we kind of look at value for pricing, and again, that's a simplified list. There's a ton of factors that go into pricing Italian homes. Let's talk about how you want to use the property. So that means, are you someone who is going to be taking up residence in Italy full time? Are you someone who is looking to purchase in Italy as a vacation home? Or are you someone who's solely interested in investing in Italian properties and looking for a return on your investment? As a primary owner, the only recommendation I have is Southern Italy as compared to where I lived in Canada. So I used to live in Calgary, Alberta, Western, and the building materials and codes are significantly different than what we've done here in Italy. So although I have quite a bit of renovation experience in my province, in my part of the world where it's really cold, it is completely different here in Italy. So I kind of started from scratch and I learned a lot of new things during this renovation, and you need to have a team who knows what they're doing. I wouldn't go blindly into renovations or restorations in Italy. If you are going to be living in Italy full-time and you're looking to renovate a house, I highly recommend you get an experienced team behind you. Never having lived in a humid, somewhat tropical climate before in my life, I was a beginner during our renovation, and that was a humbling experience and exciting for me because I love to learn new things. But had I taken on this project by myself, I wouldn't have known which problems to look for. I wouldn't have known like how much it could have cost us, and I wouldn't have known maybe necessarily like the order in which you conduct the project. So it does vary, and having that experienced team can save you thousands or on mistakes that you might make yourself. So get a good team. If you plan on using your property in Italy as a rental, long-term rentals in Italy can be very risky. You need to know your village. You need to know the people in your village. For us, it is an option because my partner grew up in the village that we live in. He knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody's business. So we feel confident that if we were to rent long-term, we know who that person is. We know that they're a good person who's gonna pay their rent and they're not gonna squat in our home, because that could happen. If you are wanting to rent and turn a profit in Italy, your best bet is going to be a short-term rental in a very touristy location. So places like Rome, Amalfi, Venice, Milano, those types of places, Tuscany, are always going to have tons of people visiting and touring the areas. Short-term rentals is probably your best bet, but they are also some of the most high maintenance, and you do need someone on the ground and a team that you can trust if you're not going to be in Italy. My next bit of advice is about expectations, because Italy never ceases to surprise me. Anything is possible. We have been waiting to connect our gas, so we just need a gas meter attached. We have now been waiting 10 weeks, and that is 10 weeks that we have not had fuel for cooking, heating, or hot water in our home. So we have been showering on Sundays at our in-laws, and as needed, we just pop over, we have a key. We have been using an electric hot plate for cooking, And heating, we have a nice little wooden stove. It's warm and cozy, but it is a little bit time consuming and someone has to be home to make sure that the place is heated. And we're fetching wood a few times a week, so it's not the most convenient. The key takeaway here is to have patience. Take any timeline that you could possibly think of and multiply it by a factor of maybe 4 to 10, and I think you'll be satisfied with the outcome. Another really popular question is mortgages. Can I qualify? How hard is it? What's the process like? In short, if you are someone living abroad and looking to invest in Italy, if you are not a permanent resident or a citizen in Italy, I'm gonna say it's a no. However, if you are a resident or citizen, I will simply say that the process is much more thorough and difficult than my personal experience when I qualified for my property in Canada. It was a full background check on every single party involved. My partner actually was the one who qualified for our mortgage here in Italy for the homestead that we're purchasing and building and super excited about. The process probably took somewhere between 5 to 6 months. I'm hoping that it's, a COVID factor, and during normal circumstances, maybe that timeline would have been sped up a little bit. But there was also, they're very scrupulous. So they comb through all of your bank statements, they comb through all of your taxes, they do background checks on your employer, on yourself. So much more intense than my experience in Canada, where I basically needed to provide them with proof of income and a couple years of tax statements, and that was it. And in a couple weeks, I heard back from them. Typically in Canada, if you purchase a condo, they may also want to see condo documents to make sure that the condo funds are there, just in case. But I digress. In Italy, it is very difficult as a stranieri to qualify for a mortgage. So I wouldn't count on it. That being said, it is not impossible as a resident or a citizen. And if you meet their income ratio, there's a good chance that you can get some pretty decent mortgage rates. Personally, we qualified for an 18-year mortgage at 1.3%. So that is our experience and our personal numbers. So I think I've answered most of the questions. But if on the off chance I haven't answered your question or I haven't covered a topic that you would like to hear about, please drop it in the comment section below. I'll be sure to create a follow-up Q&A video so that we can talk more about Italian real estate. In the meantime, if you are interested in touring my 17th century Italian abode, please head over to this video and check out my home tour. This is a before, so we have done some significant renovations. Spoiler alert. And if you're interested in following our renovation project, then make sure you subscribe.